Hello, kids. I'm Vincent Castle, current ghoul in residence at A Red Orchid Theater while it's dark. I'm your dear host for this very special inaugural and Halloween-themed edition of Among the Orchids. What a tantalizing opportunity to crawl out of our graveyards and virtually connect for a theatrical conversation which will captivate and elucidate all the behind-the-scenes chatty chat that your curious skulls could ever desire or imagine.
This little gem is called a ghost light. For practical purposes, it allows one to enter the theatre without stumbling over themselves. But superstition has it that on Mondays, when the theater is traditionally dark, the ghosts have a gig. Others believe it's actually meant to scare ghosts away, but I keep my own weapons close at hand.
Well, if you ask me, which you should, out of courtesy to a washed-up celebrity ghoul, there's nothing scarier than a dark theater for 6 months during a pandemic. Until now. Dark tales from the storefront crypt abound, and tonight we have selected several A-rotting ensemble members to share their scariest, most bone-chilling and horrifying tales from the recesses of their creative souls for your bloodthirsty ears. So take off your mask, stop washing your paws, grab a libation, and enjoy the terror. Among the Orchids.
We're into it.
All right.
Thank you, Vincent. Good to always be welcomed by the best school that I know in residence. I'm Lawrence Grimm, ensemble member of Red Orchid Theater, and I have some great guests with me tonight. I go by he, him, his. I'm in the ensemble for a long time, mainly as an actor, but I'm also on the board as well. And I'm happy to have amongst me some orchids, and we'll just go around, starting with Abigail Madden.
Hi, I'm Abigail Madden. I'm not an ensemble member, but I'm the managing director of A Red Orchid. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm excited to be here and a part of this conversation. I'm gonna pass it maybe to Sadieh.
I'm Sadieh Rifai. I'm an ensemble member. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm very excited.
I'm Shade Murray. I'm also an ensemble member, and I use he, his pronouns, and excited to be here.
I'm Levi Holloway. I'm an ensemble member, he, his pronouns. I'm excited to. Stephen Schine, go.
I'm Steve Schine. I'm an ensemble member and a board member, he, him, his, and I love this stuff. I'm excited.
Just for playfulness and fun, what is the scariest sentence you've ever heard in the theater? Like, this show will be directed by a team of 6 people. I'm trying to think of some of mine. I think one of them was, do you mind being naked in a bathtub? In a play that didn't have that anywhere in the stage direction.
Did you say yes, Larry? Did you say that you minded, or did you say I'll go for it?
I went for it. It was King Lear at Piven Theater Workshop, and it was one of many asks that was unexpected but fun. I wasn't naked, but it looked like I was, and I was in a bathtub. But let's go in the same order, and then we won't have to tag off.
So that was a Halloween show too. That was a horror.
Intentionally. But let's go that same order if we can. Abby.
Okay. Let's see. I think mine with the Red Orchid. There was 2 things that came to mind that were presented as we were getting ready to open. The first was Dato's decided that she wants to do a pre-show, and it's going to include goats and farm animals.
Mhm.
That was terrifying. And let's see, the second one was Michael has decided that for the second act of the show, he would like to move the entire audience next door in the middle of winter. So let's figure that out. So both terrifying. One came to fruition. One, we decided to forego the farm animals for now, but I feel like
I just love like both stories. You know, you got to picture Abby like just she's on the receiving end of artistic information. It's just like this has been decided. And then it's like cut to reaction shot, just absorbing that information. I would love that.
Yes, so terrifying, and actually, you know, the second one worked out, and our audiences loved it, and the field trip worked. So I have to say that in my time with the Red Orchid, nodding and going with the flow has been the way to go.
I did a rep show of Agnes of God and Doubt, and hearing the phrase on a weekend, 1 down, 3 more to go, was horrifying and exhausting.
As a director, hearing, which I've heard a couple of times, Mirka has a couple of wig options she would like to show you. Mirka loves a good wig and really doesn't get into the depth of rehearsal until we've signed off on a couple of choices. The other is Guy wants to know when he can give you some notes.
Oh, that's bone chilling. Is he in the show or associated with it?
No. This is Guy coming in and just absolutely letting you know what could possibly burn down and what it is that needs to be rebuilt. And
Guy is saying it to you in third person, and he's standing behind you and watching rehearsal.
Yeah. My favorite was during Trevor, where he goes, you know, there are times where Larry eases off on the monkey work, and you just got to tell him, Jade. You just got to say, Larry, you're a monkey, and you got to tell him though. You got to tell him. You have to say, Larry, God damn it, you're a monkey, and he's not going to want to hear it, but you're going to have to say it.
Well, as an actor, I think the scariest thing I've ever heard is you got the part, and as a writer, it's been Sadieh Rifai has got the part.
Oh.
Let it begin. Let it begin. The Arsenal, like she's just going to take it in, and you know we have a little time here, but look out.
Ow.
Steve.
Speaking of Trevor, I should have introduced Morgan Fairchild here with me from the hit Red Orchid show.
Trevor was a play about a chimp. I played the chimp. It was about a woman that adopted the chimp. Shay directed, and Morgan Fairchild. Beautiful. How do I describe it, y'all? Help me out. He was obsessed with Morgan Fairchild.
I mean, he had a cardboard cutout
without either paper or water bottles.
Played by Loretta Rizos, of course. The scariest thing I think I've ever heard is at Showtime, there's going to be a battle of the heavy metal bands downstairs.
Oh.
What space was that?
The Cubby Bear banquet space.
Oh.
Sat in a bar, and it was upstairs. We were on off nights, and they just had a scheduling thing, and it was a battle of the bands of just the heart. It was double bass drums for 2 hours, and that's why when you know, people are like, "Oh, a cell phone went off." Well, yeah. Oh, well.
I love the thread of how calm the crazy is shared. Like just casually, like we're gonna go next door. There's a band downstairs. Or there's goats. Like it's casual.
My immediate answer of like a scary tale I have two answers. My first is when I did Small Mouth Sounds, directed by Shade Murray, and co-starring fellow ensemble member / Greek Adonis Travis Knight. Every night I'd have to go out there. This man would have to undress fully, and everyone thought it was his like horror story, right? Like that it was like he was, important in that story. But in fact, in the script, I would have to follow getting undressed after Travis did. So Travis would like get naked and like I think you'd hear everyone go like, nice. Just a sort of like a tonal shift, right? Where atmospherically there was support there. Sort of a general enthusiasm for what was going on stage. And then he comes on stage, right? And then my character has like a 45-second to 45-minute existential crisis in which he has to decide to also get undressed to go skinny dipping, down to his very tiny briefs that Shade Murray demanded my character wear. And so I'd get undressed, and as I took off each piece of clothing, you'd hear the audience go, oh no. Oh, uh-oh. Larry, you were there.
That's not true.
Oh, it was true. Well,
I was there. I was there to inherit. Like you would come off and talk about this happening more than once.
Yeah, and then in that sort of shame spiral, I would have to get dressed 90 miles an hour because I'd have to go out on stage immediately following, and Travis would just be strutting around backstage, like just taking his time. It was therapeutic. And then a side answer, and probably a more genuine one, is that as a writer, I write based on. I write, I guess, mostly horror. I guess that's sort of the corner I've set up shop in, and I write primarily from a place that's inspired by nightmares I have, and I cut my teeth as a writer in Chicago working with kids through the school system, through CPS and deaf and hearing integrated kids, and I've been lucky enough that a lot of those kids have done my plays in professional settings. So the sort of double punch of reliving my nightmares and exercising that exorcism of nightmares, and watching these kids like grow up and tell my stories, and those stories becoming their own, has been both equally terrifying and thrilling and exciting. So yeah, those are my two answers.
Great. Of course, one of the shows that three of the folks that are on this call were involved in was Grey House that Levi wrote, Shade directed, and Sadieh was in. And, one of, by far, I think the scariest play I've seen at Red Orchid in the best ways possible.
Wait, can I just interrupt and say that Levi started to write that script while he was house sitting at my house. And on opening night, it's a terrifying story. And on opening night, after it ended, my husband turned to me and he's like, he wrote that at our house while we were gone. And I was like, I guess so. I have to take some credit in that too, Larry, because somehow that story came out of my home.
It sounds like you get secondary trauma after opening too.
Absolutely.
Steve, I'm going to shift to you. We were in a spooky play together. I'm going to let you guess what it was. It was Haunting, and Karen Kessler directed it. Those are the hints. And I guess you can share any story that you want, but one of the themes that I'd love to stick with that folks can address is do you like being scared or having some form of fear in your work, and why or why not? But I know you've got other things up your sleeve that you might want to share as related to our general Halloween theme.
It sort of depends what fear is, what you define fear is. Like there's good fear and bad fear. It's like when you talk about a movie. Yeah, what's a bad movie? Well, The Room is a bad movie, but it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, for real fear, it's when people on stage aren't listening to you. But I love the like you're talking about the show Solstice that we did together, and the nights that it's a story of a war-torn country and a father and a son. It's very violent and all these things. And normally the show ended with a song, a recorded song. And one of the previews, it was you and Andrew Cutler on stage, I think. And there was this boom, this explosion, and all the lights went on and the floodlights in the theater came on. And your blocking was to walk straight at it. And that audience was like, oh my God, how did you pull that off? Is because a transformer blew on the block at the exact time. Impossible to replicate. And then everybody walked out. And it was just people in the streets. What's going on? Oh my God, what's going on?
We forgot. I think I blocked that out.
Yeah. But we knew it wasn't in the show. So when we heard the explosion, we were like, that, yeah, I think that qualifies. We were all, what did they do out there? Yeah.
Sadieh, I know that I'm just going to cop to one of my fears becoming, I would assume, one of yours. I had a panic attack. I diagnosed it as such. I went up on lines in Do You Feel Anger in the worst way. And I think the first and only time that you were really kind to me. I guess
really shit on Sadieh Day.
I guess what I want to say is I've known you for a relatively short time, but I feel like I've scared you the most.
With your acting, for sure.
I'm wondering what else besides my talent intimidates you, or some fear
about Larry.
The question is,
the pumpkin has been tossed to you.
What intimidates me about you?
That's not the question.
I missed the question then.
It's just I was trying to segue into giving you an opportunity to share.
That was terrible.
To share anything that's scary, that has created fear for you or been scary in the theater. Me.
Well, I both love and dread working in this industry because I'm dyslexic. And so Shade knows, Levi knows, when I get a script, I fight and fight and fight to want to be in the show. And then I get it. And then I'm given a script and I think, oh my God, this is the time that I'm not going to be able to memorize. And I usually don't memorize. I usually wing it. But no, it's awful. It's awful. I once asked Levi if I could run lines for Grey House with him, and I couldn't get past the very first page. And he was like, we didn't know each other that well, and he was like, I think you might want to look at this some more. And this was like 2 weeks into rehearsal. It was awful. I have nightmares where I am on stage and I'm supposed to go on and I don't know the lines, which I think a lot of actors have that. But I once understudied a show and didn't know my lines. And I think the fear always will live with me, that I didn't know the lines, and if I had to go on, I wouldn't know what to do. And so I learned my lesson from that. But it's the scariest thing in the world. So when you forgot your line because you were in this panic attack, it was really frightening for everybody because we knew something was wrong. And I too have had a panic attack on stage, and it's the worst. Luckily mine was in a drama. I don't know. This was in a comedy. That's the worst.
It was so bad, and you were very kind. It was just the scariest thing, and it's so intense.
Did you help him out, or did you just kind of let him sit in it?
Kind of let him sit in it, just because. No, I think we all didn't quite know what was going on. Larry hit it really well, and it wasn't until we got off that we fully understand what just had taken place. So
as I remember, you were kind enough and you named it. You were like, dude, you had a panic attack. And then you told me about it, and it was so nice because it was normalizing. Yeah, because I immediately went to
brain aneurysm.
Yeah. And just
Yeah, but Larry, you think you're way more dependable on stage than you are. So for us, it wasn't like, oh no, something is wrong with Larry. We were like, it's Thursday.
Roll the dice. Roll the
It's
dice.
like the time, I don't know if we have time, but it's like the time when you were supposed to come out on stage, and you took your shirt off backstage to get dressed for another scene. And it was just like 3 minutes that I had to fill.
That was
horrifying.
That was not panic attack. That was me being super irresponsible. I was in another land.
But then I remember after the two things happened, when the stage manager had you wear that ID bracelet, so in case you wandered into Bombo Bar, they knew how to return you.
I love how quickly this is up.
Yeah, I just want to welcome everybody to the Larry Grimm roast.
Remember that time? And it's not even about fear anymore. It's just things that Larry's fucked up. Abby, when you were sharing your initial little lines, I was realizing that they're sentences, but really anecdotes. And I'm wondering, what is an experience you've had which you could never imagine happening as managing director or in the theater in general, that was completely unbelievable? Like the first two that you shared were perfect examples of that. But I'm wondering if you could extend on those or any others where it's like I simply can't. This is unbelievable, and it can be negative or positive.
Yeah, do you have any stories, Abby, about when Larry was over at Pigs?
I have so many stories, not just about Larry though. I've got some for you too, Shade. So the first show that I did with A Red Orchid was Pilgrim's Progress, and everybody had kind of mentioned, like, we think that this show might sell well. It's, world premiere, and we've got a great cast, and Shade was directing. And I guess I didn't realize, and this was like, I didn't have a handle on the marketing, and I didn't really know what was going on. And so the day that tickets went on sale, it was just me and an intern in the office, and we're it. Like that's the box office. There's no box office. So tickets went on sale, and I'm not kidding you guys. It was like, we did like, we sold out the show in like 2 hours and did like triple what we thought we were gonna do. Like in the first 2 hours, like the phone was going crazy. Patrons were screaming at us. Me and the intern was like, why don't you have more people in here? What's going on? Like, this is not good. And I was like, I had no idea. I swear to God, like, this is crazy. Like, and we didn't have like an answering service. So I would check the voicemail, and they would be like, you have 57 messages. And I'd be like, I don't know what to do. And that was kind of like the beginning of my time with the Red Orchid. And I feel like it's kind of been a whirlwind ever since. But I was like, oh, this is special. I'm gonna have to like get on board here and really like figure it out pretty quick. And never really looked back after that. And I have one more. There was one more that was so horrific. I won't tell the name of the show. It was also a Shade Murray show, but I was sitting in the audience and it was press night. And I was sitting next to Mary Williamson, who's an actress that has been in shows with us. I love Mary. And on the other side of her was a member of the press who literally halfway through the show started going like this. Ooh. And Mary and I were like, what is happening? What is going on? And like to the point where I had to like reach over Mary and say, please stop. The actors can see you because we're in the second row. I'm like, please stop. So then I was terrified that this lady was gonna like take down the show. But the next day we came out to rave reviews and we had great audiences. So what does she know, right, Shade?
I forgot about that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Abby,
Thumbs down halfway through. What is happening?
those
right
stories like so
horrific.
to fulfill the believable, not believable. our space. Boo.
Boo. Like I think somebody turned around and she like caught eye contact with them and was doing a thumbs down, and I was like me and Mary were looking at each other like, people can see, like the actors can see you. You were a member of the press. I don't think she's been invited back.
Shade, I'm saving the best for last because I know you're going to tell the story of the time that really boils down to intimidation. I showed up to Trevor rehearsal one day when iPads were kind of a novelty, and I was getting my script off the iPad, and I know it it looked like it was a bit of a juggle for me, but I know it was kind of, you were a little intimidated.
Well, there's something like watching you be in full chimpanzee, acting like a chimpanzee as you're supposed to, and then stopping to scroll through your $400 iPad and then place it down carefully and then start acting like a chimpanzee.
Yeah, but you never saw my notes that were highlighted in perfect font.
Oh, I did. I was thinking a lot about Pilgrim's Progress as well. You know, we preview in front of audiences for 2 weekends before we open for the press. So we're still working and completing the design and all of this. And there's just a lot of work that's still in progress. And we found out that the New York Times was in town seeing a bunch of shows and wanted to come and check out Pilgrim's Progress on the first weekend. And so we were like, oh, like, how do we like finish all this stuff that like wasn't done? And one of the things that we decided to do, there was this beautiful painted floor, as if it were a parquet wood floor. And it hadn't been finished yet. Like we hadn't put like a lacquer or something like that on there. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was like try to put down some sort of finish on it. And within there, we kind of found that they used an oil finish instead of like a regular 3-hour finish. And it was actually something that was going to take around like 2 days to finish up. And so within there, we get to the theater that next day, and you walk on the floor, and it's all sticky and tacky. So we get up, and she's just like, well, I don't know how we're going to do the show in a couple of hours because you can't walk on the floor. So we end up getting all of these pieces of carpet remnant, and we're putting it all down on the floor. And then we're like, okay, well, like everyone's gonna have to like take off their shoes when they're walking through. And still, so there's like Mike Shannon, Kirsten Fitzgerald, and a couple of guest artists. And so anytime that they walk into their own house, they have to take off their shoes. And as they're walking across, you can still hear squish, 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 squish. right? And then if they stand in place too long, actually the glue from the floor starts to get on their socks and they have a hard time getting up off. So the entire time there's almost this like physical weird thing of them getting stuck to their own floor. And the New York Times is there. So it was like this extraordinary waiting for Guffman. So.
I have no questions about any of that or anything that's happening.
The level, like the I don't know where to begin. the multi-focus.
Sign. Turn the pumpkin around. You know there's something on there, like a.
I'll carve it, guys. It's just.
Oh, we'll wait.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the pitch for the cooking show with Shade hosting and doing crafts and Halloween. Like this is its own thing.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, the leaves in front of the pumpkins. Did you string those together this afternoon, or did you gather those from outside?
Pedro is now working one day a week at Joanne.
Okay.
You get a family discount.
That checks out.
70% off.
Oh my God. I want to do a little go around. We're all. What I'd really love to do is just come over to Shade's house right now and see what he's
going
doing.
to toast those in a bit.
Of course you are.
We'll check in with you.
Oh God.
What is that?
Cider.
What are the things that pumpkin spice should not be added to?
UNESCO.
Levi?
Don't start with me. The first thing I thought of was condom.
the first thing?
Yeah.
I mean, he's right.
I said that's too much. This is a family show. But you
It
said
is
the
too much.
word earlier, Larry.
Mouthwash.
Ooh, I kind of like that.
Steve?
All I can think is condoms. I can't think of anything else.
Well, you might have to use some pumpkin spiced mouthwash after the thought.
Hey,
Abby,
well, we'll
would
see
you
where this
never
night
add
takes
pumpkin
us.
Spice to. Let's see your spice rack. What would you never?
What would I never add pumpkin? Well, I'm not a drinker anymore, but I think like tequila and pumpkin spice doesn't sound like right. Yeah, like no, lots of different types of liquor. As a former bartender, that I would say no, you should not be mixing those.
I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I think what we'll do in our next episode is just show up. Shade, can you give us a little visual? What do you have there?
Well, this one's going to be a little bit more traditional, and I'm just doing kind of the geometric face at this point. But I'm just one mouthpiece away from being done, and then I was going to light it up. But if we got to go, I guess we can.
Oh my God!
We're thankful for over at A Red Orchid, and then after that, we can do scented pine cones during the Christmas episode.
Just writing that down, Shade.
Shade, you've now, when we do this next year, this is the story that I will tell.
Shade is saying he just needs 30 minutes.
Happy Halloween, y'all. Thank you for being here and doing this.
Well, are your bones rattled to the very core? Did you feel like a spider was dancing along your spine? Does it seem like the world is on fire? Injustice is everywhere and we're in a plague? Oh, wait a minute. Wrong episode. Well, you get the idea. Even when the theater is dark, it doesn't stop being a place to tell our stories, scary or otherwise. We hope you enjoy this episode of Among Orchids, a place I wish I could live. But alas, My graveyard shift beckons me elsewhere, friends. Miles to go before I sleep. Thank you for watching. None of the scary stories you just heard would be possible without your endless support. Some of my kind ask for blood, but not me. I just demand money. Throw some shekels our way, and we shall raise the curtain to let light in the theater again when our too long intermission shall finally cease. Good night, and happy Halloween.